We know the $1,500 sneakers cost $4 to manufacture. We know the designer t-shirt sewn in the same factory as the unbranded one. We know that the diamond is just a compressed piece of carbon. We know that we being lied to, but we swipe the card anyway. To understand why we ruin ourselves buying things we don't actually need, you gotta understand the human biology. For 99% of human history, we lived in tribes. If you didn't fit in, or if you was perceived to be low value, you were exiled. And in the wilderness, exile meant death. Our brains are hardwired to view belonging as a literal physical survival. Capitalism didn't invent the vanity, just put a price tag on our primitive survival instinct. Today, being unbranded or looking poor, that triggers the exact same ancient panic of being left behind in the cold. We buy the luxury to prove that we safe. But what happens when you realize the things that are keeping you safe are completely fabricated? Take the lobster for example. Today, the lobster is a universal symbol of fine dining. But in the 1800s, lobster was literally known as the cockroaches of the sea. They were so abundant and undesirable that usually they were ground up for fertilizer or even fed to prisoners. And there's a biological reason for that. See, lobsters, they naturally harbor bacteria in their flesh that multiply so rapidly after death that the meat just becomes toxic, highly toxic. And you can't just cook that away. For food safety, the lobster gotta be boiled alive or either cooked immediately after death. It wasn't considered a delicacy. It was considered a hazardous bottom feeder. So how did it become a luxury? Tactic called information asymmetry. See, when train travel expanded, the railway companies realized that they can serve this dirt cheap meat to wealthy inland passengers who were completely ignorant of the coastal stigma that these lobsters had, plated it on fine china, charged a premium, and the inlanders loved it. The biology of the lobster never changed though, only the marketing did. And today, a lobster dinner served by a Michelin Star restaurant, that's considered the ultimate symbol of culinary opulence. But both of them were built on brilliant deception. See, marketing don't just dictate what we eat, it dictates the authority in which we worship things as well. The most prestigious culinary award in human history, and the award that chefs literally dedicate their lives to achieving, was invented by a company that sell rubber tires for cars. See, in the year 1900, there were less than 3,000 cars in France. The Michelin tire company needed more people to drive so they'll burn through their tire treads faster. So what did they do? They created a guide telling people about credible restaurants that were just far enough to require a long drive. They ain't care about the culinary art, they ain't care about the food, they cared about selling you rubber tires for your car. And today, people would spend hundreds to thousands of dollars at a restaurant that was validated by a tire company, up to thousands of dollars just because a tire company gave it 3 stars. And since we're talking about cars, the auto industry is the perfect scam. You pay $250,000 for a Lamborghini Urus, oblivious to the fact that it shared the exact same chassis, frame, and underlying platform as a $35,000 Volkswagen. That tactic right there is called badge engineering. The bones is identical. You ain't paying $200,000 for a better machine. You paying for the shape of that metal emblem on the hood and the logo that's on that steering wheel. But the greatest psychological heist of them all, that happened in the 1930s. See, before then, an engagement ring, it was a symbol of intent, not a financial sacrifice. You bought what you could afford. And if it contained a stone, it was either a ruby, a sapphire, or a pearl. Those were the things that were popular then. Massive diamond mines discovered in South Africa. The market was soon to be flooded. So what happened? The De Beers, the diamond cartel, yeah, they panicked. See, they know their stones were about to be worthless due to the oversupply. And to stop people from reselling their rings and crashing the market, they hired an ad agency. And over the next few decades, they invented a tradition, clean out of thin air. They eventually coined the phrase, a diamond is forever. But what's even more insidious, they created a baseless financial metric for love, man. They told the working middle class that an engagement ring must cost at least 1 month's salary. Then a few years later, they upped it to 2 months' salary. Now you know where that comes from. And by 1971, you had Shirley Bassey beautifully singing it as the theme of a James Bond movie.
Diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me.
We accepted the James Bond theme, a corporate jingle, as a global tradition. The De Beers proved that corporations can just invent a scam and turn it into a tradition. And in 2006, one man proved something much more darker. He proved that the consumer would actively defend those corporate scams.
Are you familiar with the Starbury sneakers? They're like
Garbage.
$15 sneakers.
They garbage. And he had the nerve to say that they're made in the same factory as the Jordans. Well, you need to go to that factory and f some motherfuckers up.
At the height of the premium sneaker, NBA superstar Stephon Marbury, aka Starbury, who released his own signature shoe under the same name. He sold them at retail for $14.98. He stated they were made in the same places as the heavy hitters, completely exposing the astronomical markups of the footwear industry. And to silence the critics who said, $15 shoe was structurally inferior, or not crafted or made as well. But he literally wore the shoe for the duration of that entire NBA season.
Now, Stephon Marbury's got some new shoes on tonight. They are called the Starbury Team Sneaker.
He challenged people to take an expensive shoe and his shoe.
When you cut both of the shoes down the middle with a chainsaw, had to do the same exact thing.
John Stossel of 2020 actually took him up on this, took two shoes to a sneaker expert.
And he and others in the business concluded
they're constructed the same way.
The shoes were structurally sound, but the markup was exposed. But how did the culture react? They mocked, they laughed. He was ridiculed publicly for the shoe. A man got mocked for trying to save us money. See, our tribal instincts made us terrified of the $14.98 price tag. We have already been successfully brainwashed to believe that the high price was the only thing that gave an object its worth. But where did we get that belief? Who told us that our self-worth was tied to an extraordinarily high price tag? It came from the exact luxury brands that didn't even want us wearing their stuff in the first place.